There's a cat over here. There's a cat over there. And the wrong one died. And the wrong one died.
Welcome to The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown of the catastrophe. I'm your host, Mike Abrams, and today we have a bonus episode. I have promised that I would bring you every random weird part of cats, and so today I have another one. And if you listen to our most recent episode with Lexie Plath that came out this week, you heard all about her award-winning high school production of Cats. And Lexie shared that at her Arrowhead High School Center for the Arts, they had to create additional characters for the performance to accommodate all the different students, and that one of her best friends was a cat named Cinnamon. Well, today I have Cinnamon to talk to you, so I cannot wait to hear the story. So welcome, Lauren Buege, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
I want to hear just how, it's clearly a high school production and there's too many students and they've got to come up with different names and different cats. But tell me what was that experience like for you of how you became Cinnamon?
Okay, so there's only so many main characters in the production, right? But our high school was a very theater-driven program. So we didn't have just 10, 20 handful of kids that were in the program. We had 50 plus. So there were way too many of us to be a part of the show than just the main crew. So they came up with a list of basically backup singer and backup dancer cats and gave us probably the most basic household cat name list and decided that everyone that wasn't going to be on the lead character, you get to go pick your cat and make a character out of it. So once I got the list, I think I chose Cinnamon because it was fall, and I think I just probably added it always to my Starbucks order or something. So I decided that Cinnamon was going to be my name and kind of rolled with it. I also was very into the costumes. We had unitards that we got to paint and develop patterns and spots or stripes ourselves. So I wanted a brown unitard, and so I thought Cinnamon would go well with that.
I love that. Yeah. So do you remember any of the other names that were options for you?
Oh my gosh. I had plenty of friends that were in the background with me. I think one of them was Scratches or, what are the other basic names? Spots. Not super entertaining. Honestly, I should have looked into it for you. There were probably some goofy ones, but I think there were some people who actually used their own pets' names, their own house cat pet names. I couldn't tell you what they were, but they looked at the list and they're like, yeah, no, these are too basic. We're just going to go with Simon because that's my cat's name back home or something like that.
I love that. The one thing that I remember Lexie saying is that you actually came up with full backstories. You had a day to kind of think through your character. And that's pretty well written for the main cats, the ones that are in the show. Yeah. But it's not at all for yours. So what did you what do you remember about the story you created for your cat?
Oh, gosh. We did. That was definitely a task that we had. I'm trying to think what mine was. I think I must have done a household cat. I don't think I had some wild, scandalous background or hard knock life background. I'm pretty sure I said I was a house cat and treated like a fuzzy, cute family member. I didn't really think too hard about it. I was a freshman. We came into this and they're giving us these homework pieces because the program was actually a class. It was a course in our school days. So that's probably why they made us come up with a story, because all these other leads are actually rehearsing and doing so much work after school. And here we are watching them, do all this hard work. I mean, we were singing and dancing too, but we weren't memorizing as many lyrics as them and dance numbers. But I couldn't tell you. I think I was just a basic old fluffy, fun cat at home. Cat.
Just there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe my owner wanted to take me along with them in a stroller on a walk in the neighborhood. I mean, I do that with my current cats now. So hopefully that's the life I decided I wanted to pick. I can't even remember what I put down.
You were a cat that was enough to get an A in the class, right? Like
You
that's
got
really
it.
all
I
it was.
passed.
Yeah. So what do you remember about like having so many more characters and being kind of in the background? What was the difference for you versus Lexie and everyone else who's like having like the more like they're in the show, big part of it? Like what was the difference in the rehearsals and the practice and then in the show? Like I think you mentioned earlier that you kind of sat on the side waiting for them to finish so you could carpool home.
Right, exactly. Actually, that was probably the most entertaining part, is that the leads had these scripted character ideas and relationships, and they had to follow what the show actually wrote out for them. But for us, we kind of buddied up. I mean, there were like 30 kids that all got to pick what they're going to do in the background. So I had like two friends that were also background cats with me. And we would all just decide like, okay, where's the highest platform on the stage that we can like feel like we're acrobats in a jungle gym. And okay, that's where we're going to go. And we'll decide that we're a family, or in this number, we're going to decide that we're all like young, playful cats. And then in some of the numbers, I would get tired throughout the show and just, act like I was a lazy sleeping cat. And our director said that's totally fine, because that's what cats do. I mean, 20 hours of the day, I think it's like 18 hours of a day on average is how much a cat sleeps. So they're actually not awake all that often, except for usually at night. So I would mainly want to go on like the coolest, most risky scaffolding that I could find. And I would take like two friends with me. It couldn't really hold more than that. Or I'd always volunteer to be the extra like dance number cat that doesn't actually have to have dance skills. Cause I mean, like I could move, but I wasn't a dancer by trade like Lexie. But I would always offer to be the cat that they tossed into the air, or the cat that would jump down from a scaffolding into like a trampoline, or just, they needed an extra, raise your hand, whoever's first gets it. I was that one, because either I was very bored and wanted to waste my energy, or I was really bored and to the point that I wanted to just like lay in the wings and just pretend I was sleeping.
It's so fun. It's so funny because it's like, it's like always you're the tree.
Yeah.
You've got 30, 40 of you extra kind of back there. You're either going to sit there and watch, or you're going to participate in some
and
fashion,
we could change it every night. I mean, the show, essentially like during rehearsals, you move and you sing and you do what you do. As long as you're looking like you're meant to be on stage and you're acting like a creature, then great. You can change the routine. I mean, as long as you're kind of staying in the same vicinity of like stage left, stage right, like you're not in anybody's way or the lead, in the center of stage, you can kind of change it around. So like some nights, if I was tired, I would just be a little bit more relaxed and act and chill. And then other nights I'd move around a little bit more. I mean, you just can. Nobody was telling you not to.
Yeah. It's so funny because it's like, just don't get anybody hurt, right? Like don't be in the way. But as long as you're doing that, like there's so many of you up there, it doesn't really matter at that point. It's just like, it's your parents and that's it, or your friends are really the ones watching. Everyone else is watching the show. And so they're like, yeah, just go do your thing. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. A lot of it was improv.
I want to ask you a few Cats, the musical questions. So if you could perform as any of the cats that weren't from your list of names, like one of the cats in the show, who would you want to perform?
Totally.
As?
I had one of my other best girlfriends in high school played this character. I would be Jenny Any Dots. I love the tap numbers. I love the fun song that she sings. Like I'm a mezzo alto really, but mezzo. So I don't sing super high, but I just thought that was a fun number and it involved a lot of the cast. At least in our production, we had a huge tap dance number. So I thought that was fun. Plus I loved the costume. It was like fun and shaggy and just felt like a flapper dress for a cat.
Yeah. Who were your favorite and least favorite characters from the show? Like which cats did you love and which ones bugged you?
I absolutely loved Oh gosh. Well, I like certain cats for certain reasons, but I'd have to say I thought so we had a Mrs. Mistopheles, not a Mr. We had a Mrs.
Ooh.
Mistopheles, and I always loved that number. I love the song. I like just like the idea of magic and like the fun, act that was put on while she was moving around the stage. Like we did a lot of, our choreographer was pretty cool. Scott had her do like a lot of magic acts, like, disappear, jump here, disappear, reappear here. The stage was set up like pretty neatly to do that. So I would say Mrs. Mistopheles. My least favorite? Oh gosh. Let's see.
You can just pick a random one from the new list if you want. Then you don't have to offend any of the Cats fans.
I'm looking at the list because I'm like, and it wasn't like anybody in the cast, obviously. I think I was very like put off by the McCavity character, but I had a great friend that played it, so I was kind of indifferent at that point. But like watching the movie back and stuff, I'm just not really like a scare thriller kind of person. So I'd say McCavity's like my least favorite scenes.
Mm-hmm. And what's your favorite song from the show?
Well, dare I say the Grisabella song? Tell me, what's the title? I'm forgetting. Memory. Yeah. You gotta. Everybody knows that's the only song I knew coming into the show as a,
same
14-year-old.
That's the same. I'm the same way, but I now have a lot arguing against her. I still have respect for the song. So, okay, I'm going to ask you the most important question, which is I've argued at length. I don't think Grisabella is the right Jellicle choice. So if you are going back to your Arrowhead's, production, who are you picking? If you're Old Deuteronomy, who's your Jellicle choice?
Okay. I think my Jellicle choice would be, okay, so I know that the concept wouldn't really make sense, but I always thought that Old Deuteronomy should be the one that would go. I love it. I know that
he has to go eventually.
The one who's just like there to make all of it happen. But I just felt like that would have made more sense. Grisabella had so much more.
He has to go eventually. I agree. You have no arguments here from that choice. It's actually not an uncommon choice. There has been more recently. He's picked up some steam as like a why not? Why is it?
Right. That's kind of how I'm feeling. Like, let's challenge it. Why can't we do that?
I'm here for any non-Grisabella choice.
Awesome.
So, well, this has been amazing. I love that we were able to capture Cinnamon's story for this podcast. I know you do some work with actual cats, though. So tell a little bit about how people can be involved with the rescue programs and stuff.
Right. Awesome. I do in my nowadays, my cat involvement is, I've got 2 at home, but I'm really passionate about volunteering for my cat rescues down in the state of Georgia. It's called Cats in the Cradle, Alpharetta, which is the city that it's located in. But we actually move around the state of Georgia entirely, and some parts of the panhandle of Florida. If y'all want to go check it out, help donate or, help donate your time or money or whatever it is. But Cats in the Cradle, they do a lot of TNR and rescue efforts. They adopt cats out. It's really great presence down there in Georgia. And then up here in Minnesota, I am involved with the Paws for Paws. And that's an organization that also helps out in Mexico as well as up here in the States, doing a lot of cat rescue, adoption efforts like that. So occupy my time with it, and it makes it fun.
We'll link both. We'll link both for either social media or the website, so people who are in those areas can help and get involved.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for telling your story and coming on and sharing this kind of little fun side piece of Cat's history.
My pleasure.
Awesome. And thanks everyone else for listening to this episode of The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breaking down the catastrophe. To follow along, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any else listen to podcasts. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at The Wrong Cat Died. Check out our website, thewrongcatdied.com.